Hi everyone, this is Meir, your friend speaking with you. I'm sitting with staff, with volunteer, and with therapist in this room, and I want to tell everybody something very important. In the recent message of the week, I talked about overcoming presbyopia. You know, it's so important that just when you're about to get presbyopia, that you'll work on it. So you will not let your lens become stiff. And that's very important. So, not every parent is open-minded and is willing to work on the child as the parents, who are called Yaniv and Mor, who brought to me their wonderful, wonderful daughter. They came to meet me in New York, and their daughter was born with cataracts. Of course, the doctor wanted to remove the lens. Now, that was a peculiar cataract, where basically she had cataract only in her right eye, but perfect vision in her left eye. Normally, even after cataract surgery, kids do not use the eye where the lens was removed. And most people just following the doctor's prescription, whether it has any merit to it or not, and they remove one lens when it's very clear that the other eye will be under constant control. Normally, it leads to cross-sightedness or strabismus, and if it doesn't lead to that, it leads to amblyopia, or lazy eye, and basically it means the brain suppresses everything that comes from the cataract eye even after a surgery. And so they did not want to do the surgery. The mother is an acupuncturist, the father is very holistically oriented, and they were willing to sit on the plane, pay the money, and come all the way from Israel to meet me in my book tour. So in New York, we started with the first exercise. When I met the wonderful, wonderful infant, 7-month-old, I put an eye patch over her left eye and had light blinking on the ceiling in a dark room. She followed the light, and immediately it connected between her brain and that light. Then we took her to a small park in New York, and you know that in the city of New York there aren't that many parks, and they're not so big. So we took her to a nice small park, and she always would look forward, but she never looked sideways. We patched not only her left seeing eye, but half of her right eye, and she started to look sideways. First time in a 7-month. And so then I went to Canada and I rented an apartment near a park. The parents came after me to Canada, and what it was clear to me is that simply patching the left eye without interaction makes no sense. So we patched the left seeing eye and went to the lake where she was looking at ducks. And as she was looking at ducks, she was so curious. And she was curious for 3 whole days, which is a long time for an infant. After 3 days, she no more was interested in ducks. So she started to look at dogs. And there was one dog who really paid attention to it and started to perform for her. Jumped up a rock, jumped down to a river, jumped up a rock, jumped up to a river. And the parents were discouraged by a bunch of doctors who told them, so what? So she's looking through an eye that has an obstruction and doesn't really see much. But I knew differently and they knew differently. As the lens tends to grow, even if you have cataract, and if the cataract gets arrested, the lens grows and the cataract becomes less and less significant. And the cataract is obstruction. So The next day, she wasn't interested in dogs anymore, but she was interested in other babies. So we talked to many mothers while she was observing the babies with a patch over her left eye. And the next day, she wasn't interested in that anymore. She looked at leaves. You see, that's how I work with kids all the time, even with infants. Find what interests them, play with them, and teach them. So guess what? When we finished the 9 double sessions that I've done with the baby, 2.5 hours each, the 2 eyes were looking together. Then I visited them in Israel, and the 2 eyes kept looking together. And today the father gave me a call, and he said, there's no question that from 2 feet, she is able to read and see every picture, and that from 2.5 feet, she is able to see most of them. So the next exercise I gave him is to get her to look at far distances that she cannot see well with a patch over her left eye, and use her eye more and more. The parents are not even thinking about the surgery this minute because the 2 eyes are teaming and are working together. As I said, actually last year, this was a work in progress and still is. But look how hard the parents are working. An hour a day every day and 15 minutes 4 times a day to help the kid to prevent a cataract surgery that so many people see as something so simple. In fact, one of my students called me the other day. She said, isn't cataract something you always remove? And my answer is no, not in most cases. And you want to preserve your lens if you can only do it. Even if you lose it 15 or 20 years later, preserve it now. But maybe you'll preserve it and will never lose it. So what's important for me to tell you is that you can, first of all, prevent cataract by doing distance exercises and palming exercises. Second of all, you can preserve your lens as it keeps growing versus the cataract that remains maybe the same if you do eye exercise. And that is not true about every case. And on that we'll talk later. But for now, I want to tell you that I feel so good that the small little kid, Limor, is so happy. She's so happy to do the eye exercises, so happy to look with the eye, and she has a whole different future than one with countless doctor visits after her surgery is done. Talk to you soon. Your friend Meir.